Hello and welcome to this episode of Beauty to Bank. I am your host, Season Bennett, and I'm so glad you guys are here. Listen, we did not have Beauty to Bank last week, but I am excited for this week's show. Okay, this is the number one place on the web where beauty professionals learn how to make money without standing behind the chair. So today is we're going to be talking about how to start a six-figure side hustle, and I'm excited for our guest for today. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest for today. Okay, we've got Aisha Shante, who is an entrepreneur who talks about side hustles and income streams, business tips, investing. Okay, that's one I'm really excited about. Building generational wealth and learning how to make money out of your regular 9 to 5, or for anybody else who's got whatever type of income that you've got, your regular income, anything else that you're looking to learn about, that is what she will be talking about. Okay, so let me see if I can pull her in here. And yes, I see Bespoke the Barber. And if you guys want to go ahead and make sure that you are you authenticate with StreamYard, we can go ahead and share your comments. You can ask Miss Aisha some questions yourself. Let me get her in here into the studio here. All right, hey there. Go ahead and unmute there. Hey, how are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Oh, I can't hear you. Are you connected?
I I think I am supposed to be. Hold on.
Let's just make sure we got you connected all over here. And guys, you guys know how it is. We get some tech issues sometimes, but that is okay.
All right. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, yes, I can hear you. Let me make sure that I am the one. And let's just do a quick test here. Can everybody hear me okay? Make sure everybody can hear me as well before we get into this, because I need to make sure everybody can hear this. If you can hear me, go ahead and drop a one. Oh, they can't hear you.
They can't hear
Okay.
me.
The Irresistible Beauty Limited Company can hear me. Okay, so Chiffon said yes. All
Okay.
right. Okay, you want to go back out? Why don't we do this, Aisha? Why don't you go all the way back out? Like exit completely and come back into the studio.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
All right, perfect. All right. But you guys can hear me okay? Oh, Chiffon says she can hear you. Okay. Well, that must be my fault. It must be my fault, y'all. Okay, we're gonna get her back in here though. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get her all the way back in here and make sure you guys can I think you guys are having trouble hearing me. All right. Perfect. Okay. We will pull her back in. All right. There we go. There she is. Okay, I can
All
hear
right.
you now. It was probably me.
Okay.
Okay. But they can hear you now. So good, good, good. So I'm excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So, hi, I'm Aisha. I recently left my multi six-figure job to explore entrepreneurship. And one of the things is a part of my entrepreneurship journey is teaching others how to hone in on their skills and create side hustles to bring in additional streams of income.
All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, one of the things, now I'm not trying to tell all this stuff, but one of the things that I'm really excited about, like if you guys have ever wanted to hear, about the stock market, like Aisha is your girl, okay? Like she can really get you up and running with the stock market because I know it can be for me, and I have a math background, it can be really tricky to get started with that. So what are some ways that you recommend, or some things that somebody who's just starting out in the stock market, what are some things that you would recommend to them?
The biggest thing is doing your research and not getting caught up into that. I guess the dream of oh, I'm gonna make $1 million this year just from investing in stocks. Like it doesn't work that way. Um, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So it takes time, but definitely doing your research. If you take courses or if you follow someone, make sure that they're very knowledgeable. And I know it can be kind of hard up at first because everyone, when you don't know something, everybody seems like they're an expert, but that's not always the case, and it's a very easy way for you to lose all of your money or a lot of your money if you follow the wrong people.
Okay. And so let's see, we've got a question here. So is this options trading?
Yes, I am an options trader. I purchase stocks, but I also trade options. Yep.
Okay. And can you tell others what that means?
So options with options, you're not exactly buying stocks, but you're buying um, basically the rights to 100 shares of a certain stock. So let's say Apple could be trading at $100. It's not trading at $100 right now, but I'm just using this as an example. In order for you to buy 100 shares of Apple, you're looking at $10,000. With an options contract, you can buy the rights to those 100 shares for, depending on the your target price, you can buy the rights to 100 shares for like $80. And depending on how the price moves, you can profit or lose, based off of that. So it's a little risky, but there's definitely higher reward when you do it that way.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so I know you don't just talk about, just the trading and everything, but so talk about why are you so passionate about side hustles?
So, even when I worked my 9 to 5, and I was making well into the six figures, I just don't think it's a good idea to rely just on one source of income because anything could happen. And even if let's say you're 100% secure in your career, um, sometimes things come up. So you want to make sure you have a reserve fund. You may want to retire early. You may want to, take your family on that dream vacation to Hawaii. And a lot of times that one job just doesn't cover it. Yeah, you may be able to take your family to Orlando, but you may never get to take your family, on a trip to Jamaica, or do all those things. I think it's a good way to pay off debt faster. Student loans, you want to go pay your house down. Like, it's a million different reasons, why I feel like it's important. But just having that extra security blanket of, hey, I want to go, I want to go out of town next weekend. What? I'm making $5,000 a month for my side hustle. I can afford to. It's not gonna hurt anything. And that's like one of the things a lot of people, they live off of that instant gratification where they gotta have something now and they don't care how it's gonna affect them. So I'm going to Miami this weekend. I don't have enough money to pay my rent, at the beginning of the month, but I'm going to Miami and I'm gonna have a ball and I'm gonna, enjoy myself. And I feel like, having something in place where you have that additional money that's coming in, it kind of, helps you do those things in a more secure manner.
Yeah, and a lot of people they don't really think about the consequences, right? They're just like
Nope.
live for now. And
Yep.
I saw a statistic where it was saying that the majority of people who actually went ahead and filed for bankruptcy only needed an extra $1,000 a month.
Yep. That's crazy. Yep.
Right, $1,000. And with the side hustle, you're talking six-figure side hustles.
Yep.
So I mean, and so with the I know I don't want to just talk about the trading, but with the trading, because I always like to talk numbers, you know what I'm saying? I always love to talk numbers. And somebody said I'll be there as well. So that was just a hypothetical. She was talking about Miami. You're not going to Miami this weekend. You were giving a hypothetical about how people don't really budget their money and they're not planning. They're just living in the moment and not
Yep.
the six-figure side hustle. It's a great way to allocate the money and saying, hey, from this, this six-figure side hustle, this is where I'm going to invest the money. Any profits that I'm going to take from this, I'm going to use for extravagant vacations. I'm going to Greece, or I'm going,
Yeah.
to someplace really extravagant. And, I'm going to really do that vacation. I'm going to pay off debt. I'm going to save for college. I mean, whatever it is that people want to do with their money, right? But
Yep.
it's just giving, something to allocate. Now, I remember one of my first friends that I had when I moved to Charlotte was a hairstylist. And one of the things that she used to do, because she always had all these beautiful designer bags, right? And I was like, oh, like, I'm not going to say her name. I'm not going to put her out there like that. But one thing that she did is she would allocate her tips, right? She used her tips, like her tip money, like her side hustle money. And she would allocate her tips towards her, her designer bags, right? And so with that being said, so it's just a great way to allocate money. So let's talk about you quitting this multiple six-figure job. right? Leaving this multiple six-figure job. So how
Yeah.
scary was that for you? Because I know you had been thinking about entrepreneurship for quite some time. So how scary was that for you? And how did you ultimately make that jump into doing, really, I have a lot of entrepreneurs here that are in the audience right now, but it's, more than anything, it's not about making the jump to entrepreneurship, but really I want to talk to people about living the life that they want to live.
Yeah. And that was my thing, I was very unfulfilled at my job. And granted, this year things got a little bit slower. But last year and years prior, like I'd be working from sometimes 8, 9 a.m. in the morning. And sometimes I wouldn't get off until like 11 o'clock at night, working weekends. And I just didn't have the time to put into like my family, to be able to spend time with my kids, to do the things that I truly wanted to do. And I started, trying to, branch out and do different things, or I wanted to do different things. And I just couldn't because my job occupied most of my time. And then even as things slowed down and I had a little bit more time, I was I was consumed with stress. Like it was just like, oh, like, well, now, I have to worry about this. And it was just hard for me to think about taking time off. So for me, it was something that, I was already like I was already planning. I just wasn't sure how I was going to do it. So, I was already working on a plan. I had sat down. I said, okay, you know, my mortgage payment is this. I know in order for me to, make sure my mortgage payment is paid, I know I have to make XYZ amount of money per day in order to make sure that, my mortgage is paid. And I kind of looked at, everything from an overall picture that way. And I said, well, I have these additional streams of income and I'm working on, learning this and I'm working on this. And, it just kind of, fate kind of came together. Like it was just something that I guess you could say I kind of manifested it a little bit.
Mhm.
It just was the most opportune time to do it. But I just it was unfulfilling for me, just
Yeah.
working all the time and just yeah. So it was just I had to take a leap of faith and step out there and just try something new. So
All right. Good
this
stuff.
is my I was gonna say this is my first time in since oh gosh, I don't even know how many years where like I have not had like the security blanket of a 9 to 5. So I mean, but it's doable. So
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people on here, I want everybody to be able to ask their questions. So if you go and if you have questions about six-figure side hustles, please go and type it in the chat. One of the things that, I'm always concerned about is generational wealth. I'm always trying to teach, my daughter how to do things. She's my intern this summer. And I know that Aisha, that's important to you as
yeah,
well. And so a lot of these side hustles that you're talking about, are these things that kids can do?
yep, yep. Kids can definitely a lot of the things that kids do at school, they
Yeah.
can transfer it over. Like you'd be surprised the amount of things that your kids know how to do. Um, the kids know how to create digital products. They use Canva. My daughter, I was kind of shocked. My daughter, I mean, she moves through Canva like a pro. So
Right.
there's a lot of things that kids can do, as a side hustle or, create a business based off of it or whatever. And they can bring in their own income. Kids have wants. They want expensive stuff. They want video games. They want, to go to the mall. They want to go out all the time, hang out with their friends.
Get
Create a
nails.
side, yep, nails, hair, and I mean all
Yeah.
that stuff adds up and it can get really expensive. And like I'm a spoiler. I almost pretty much give my kids like almost everything that they want. So to me it's kind of important for them to bring their start learning early, especially when they get to a certain age. Okay, let me show you how to bring money in, and then let me show you how it feels to spend it. Let me show you how to budget. So that way when they get out on their own, they can say, okay, well, you know what? I know that I have XYZ to pay this month. I know that I have this much coming in. Let me not go out here and buy, some $600 sneakers. Let me pay my bills first. And then, if I have money left over, if it makes sense, then I can go out here and I can, buy these sneakers, or I can, go out of town with my friends, or, whatever the case may be. So I feel like that's very important for me because I know I wasn't taught that, when I was younger, as far as
Mhm.
like budgeting and credit and all that stuff. So it's something
Yeah.
that I really try to instill in my kids.
For sure, for sure. So,
Yep.
same. And I think that what's very interesting, I've kind of put this together, is the pandemic. It was rough when all the kids started working, doing all their schoolwork and everything from home. But then it's kind of funny because it turned our kids into like cubicle workers. So even like,
Yep.
so they've become like really good at like working on the computer and doing Zoom and all this kind of stuff. And so what's interesting though is even with these side hustles, I think it's really interesting that you can really establish like businesses that are family businesses,
Yep.
right? They're
Yep.
family side hustles. It's not just like, hey, more work for me, because a lot of times, like let's keep it real. Even when you're using your kids and everything like that, then you still have to have them to the point where somebody has to be over 18 for setting up the payment or tax situations. But
Yep.
it once you kind of get stuff set up, it's stuff that your kids can run. It's ways that your kids can earn money. Okay, so let me see. We've got some questions here. Chiffon asks, what are some ideas for kids?
You could for and this is, there's millions of ideas that you can, go off of. You can have your kids create digital products, and not necessarily like like something for like adults, but for kids their age. Journals. They could, if they're depending on what their interests are in, they could create an ebook. They could create you know charts. Drop shipping is another good idea. Especially if you have like tweens and teens. Anime is a big thing. Um, you could create a drop shipping store, based off of anime. If they know how to draw, they could sell digital artwork. Like there's a ton of ideas um, for kids.
And one thing that I think people take for granted a lot is that, a lot of these kids can do social media. Like they're
Yep.
really good at graphics and editing videos. And like, when I came back from Orlando, I shared videos from the classes and videos and pictures, and my daughter edited the video and I did a voiceover for a reel.
Yep. Yep.
They know
The
how to edit videos.
Yep.
Like they do it all. You don't even know what they know how to do. They know how to create, like you said, Canva graphics. They can go into Canva and create a reel for you, but they can create tons of social media content. So, when I think about, like, even when you were talking about stocks, right?
Yep.
I'm thinking like, I think it's important for kids to learn about that stuff. They can do the research. They
Yep.
can become something you guys do together, and they can do research, and you guys, they can watch classes, find out about it. And then, because you were telling me that there's something that the kids, what are some ways that kids can learn about stocks?
So Fidelity, and Fidelity's actually running a promotion. I do think you have to have a Fidelity account,
Mhm.
but they have a Fidelity Youth, and they're giving kids 13, I think 13 through 17 or 13 through 18, $50 right now for signing up for Fidelity Youth. But within the app, there's educational items within the app that shows them, different things about investing, how to do different things. So it helps them become, well rounded, and have more of a solid educational base when it comes to investing. And this is solely for kids 13 through 17. So when they become, going to the real world and become 18 or whatever the case may be, they'll have a better understanding of, okay, you know what, I need to invest my money in this, or I need to, be smarter with my money. I know if I invest this much per month, per year, then it'll turn into this one. I think there's like a compounded interest calculator there. There's a calculator for educational costs. Like it's a pretty solid app. Like I would recommend it for anyone who has children, who wants to get their give their children a more solid financial educational background. I recommend that for them.
All right. I love it. I love it. See, I think those are a lot of things like you mentioned. These are things I didn't learn as a kid. Like my parents, frankly, they didn't know. They didn't have it
Yep.
to give to me. And so it's so important to me to be able to pass it on. I know it's important to you. So if I could share a little bit of our private conversations, if that's okay, Aisha. So, I've known Aisha for a while, and it's so interesting when I started, she's known so much about, just investing and stocks and just so many things when it has to do with side hustles. And I was like, oh my gosh, you need to turn this into digital products. And so she's, one of the people that I've worked with on my VIP days, where I kind of spend all day working with somebody, and we're just working on their stuff, because anything that you do can be turned into a digital product. And so I know I'm a pusher, and I push people outside of their comfort level. But can you talk about like just launching your digital products?
So I'm not gonna lie, like it makes me very nervous. Like, and one of the things that like I've had a hard time dealing with, and like this has been in the work for months, is imposter syndrome, because it's like, oh, like what if this isn't gonna be good enough? And like what if, you know, people don't like, what I have to say? What if they don't like what I put out? Or, like what if I don't convey the message correctly? So I'm nervous, but I do see one of the biggest things that I see is that there is a load of misinformation being given out there, through the internet. And I've got suckered by it before. When I first started learning to invest, I got suckered by lots of misinformation. And the number one thing that I thought was, oh, this person is out here, they have, a ton of followers or whatever. They have to know what they're talking about. And followers does not equal, the amount of knowledge that somebody has. So, I felt like with the amount of knowledge that I have, and the background that I have, and just the experiences that I have, I felt like I'd be doing others a disservice by not, coming out here and giving people the correct information, and trying to help others, um, you know, progress in life. So that's just, how I felt about it.
Yeah, so that was actually, it's really, thank you so much for sharing that. And that's something I have I have the same conversation over and over with so many people. So don't worry, you're, not different. But the thing is that a lot of us, we do look at other people and think that other people know more. And
Yep.
that's when I started showing her. I was like, no, oh my gosh, you know so much, you know so much. Like, you have an important voice here. It does not matter how many followers you have. It does not matter at all. It's, you have something important to add to this conversation. And just like you said, see, Siobhan is saying, oh my God, I can so relate, imposter syndrome. And everybody on here, like, it's almost like we need to flip that imposter syndrome around and just
Yep.
pretend like we don't have it. Like, we need to be an imposter that we don't have imposter syndrome, right? And just
Yeah.
kind of do it, because every single one of us has something important to add to the conversation. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, like, I'm putting my stamp on Aisha, because I have been pushing her. Like, I've learned so much from her about options trading, the stock market, investing. And she's worked at large financial institutions, for many, many, many years. And so she just has so much information, from buying your first house to, I mean, just refining. Just she's a wealth of information when it comes to finances. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I know and I had to prove it to her that she knew enough to teach other people. Like, I literally was like, but look, I'm like giving her examples. I was like, come on, look at this. Look at this. And then it was funny, because then over time she started sending me examples, and she was like, wait a minute, I know I can talk about this then. She was like, they're not giving any information. So the thing is, she's just a wealth of information. This is not to shade anybody, but just to say, she has a ton of information to offer. She knows. And every single person that's listening here, you have something to add to whatever the conversation is, right? Every single person has something to add to it. So it is scary, and we always do it afraid. We build the plane while we're flying it, right? What are some of the what's like the biggest your biggest piece of advice for anybody looking to start a side hustle?
So the biggest thing is to just make sure that it's something that, you actually have an interest in. Like, you're going to see so many people say, oh, you know what? You can make $10,000 a month, doing this. And you may say, oh, okay, well, I want to make the $10,000 a month, but you may not like doing, that one particular thing, and you're not going to stick with it. So, you may end up, investing, if it's buying products, or, investing in taking a course, or whatever the case may be, and you end up wasting your money versus, finding something that you actually like to do, finding a niche that you like, finding something that you're passionate about. and then seeing what you can do with that from there. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, to just make sure that whatever it is that you decide to do, make sure that it's something that you're going to stick with.
Okay, I love it. And you know what? That's so true because I mean, most of my audience is like making money. You know what I'm saying? They know
Yep.
how to make money. And sometimes it's just that, we want to make a side hustle should be fun,
Yep.
right? We don't want to just have another job. A side hustle should be fun, right?
Yep.
Oh, I love that. That is great advice because I'm like, anybody could just go get another job. Anybody can take on more customers, okay? you know and this is great. Hey, the Bespoke Barber said, hey, you got to try different things though, for sure. And I
Yep.
love that, like, and so talk about, can you talk about, because I know you've looked at so many things, you've done so many different types of things. I know you mentioned drop shipping,
Yeah.
right?
So you want me to elaborate on? You said just.
Yeah, well, can you talk about some of the other side hustles and things like that, just so they can get it, like have ideas? Because sometimes when we say side hustle, people are like, "Oh, what's that?" Like, what do you mean by that? I hear people saying this. What does it mean?
I mean, you can get as creative as you want with, a side hustle. Like, you have people who, you have apps like Thumbtack where, people are just up there like, oh, I know how to put furniture together. I can cut your grass. I can, do X, Y, Z or whatever. And they're making, really good money from it. Like, I've hired somebody to mount a TV for me from Thumbtack. And I mean, he was getting a ton of clientele, just from something, just that simple. I mean, you can you can create a digital product. Like, you have people that are selling on Etsy. They have people selling coloring sheets, and um, they're like different things for like school teachers. Like, it's endless. You have people
Yeah,
that
for
are
sure.
yeah, that are like, you have e-commerce is
Tutoring.
a yeah, tutoring, e-commerce, like with the Amazon fulfillment by Amazon. You have the retail arbitrage. Like, it's so many different things that you can kind of get into that you know it will be profitable. It's endless. It really is. Like, yes, it's endless.
Yep. I got an interesting comment. I'm not quite sure what this means, but and I don't know who this person is because they didn't authenticate. It says I sell mafia merch that I make with drop ship. I probably sell 1 to 2 items a day, and I love, like, I had a class where I was showing people how to create a print on demand t-shirt business. So it's like, all you got to do is post the t-shirts
Yep.
up there, and then you just get the commission. You don't have to ship the t-shirts, you don't have to print them, you don't have to do anything, and everything looks like it's coming from you, right? So that was a side hustle. A lot of people, that was a very popular class that I taught. People are still always like, where's the link for that class? I want to start my t-shirt business. So it, just like you said, it's endless. Find something that you're passionate about. So I know that you've got, let me see if I can share my screen here, because I know that you've got a free class coming up where you're going to be
Yep.
talking more and more about this. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. All right, so we've got your class coming up next Wednesday, July 27th at 9 p.m. You do have to register. I believe I put the link into the description here. But tell us about this class.
So the class is essentially, six-figure side hustles. Why do you need a side hustle? What side hustles can you do? Where the profits can exceed, six figures in a year. How do you get started? So it's going to be a pretty good class. I feel like it's going to be a pretty good class, and it's going to pretty much help anyone who's interested in starting a side hustle. Help them figure out where do they begin.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. And then I see here also, if people want to, I want to make sure that people can see your Instagram. I know you're just getting started on this new Instagram. You've got another one, but on this new Instagram, I want to make sure that people can see Aisha Shante and check
Yeah.
you out over there. We also got we got a question here also. Chiffon was saying, would a podcast be considered a side hustle?
Yes. a podcast would definitely be considered a side hustle. And then the beautiful thing about side hustles is that you can start something as a side hustle and then make it your main hustle.
Yes.
So, you could start a podcast, and, it could be something that you do, once a month, or, once every 2 weeks,
Mhm.
or once a week, or whatever. And you may start off slowly, bringing in, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, and then your sponsorships could grow to
Mhm.
where you could potentially have $1 million side hustle. If you grow your side hustle to $1 million, that is automatically your, in my opinion, that's your main hustle. Because I'm
Mhm.
not going to continue, to pour into a job that's paying me 80K if I have $1 million $1 million podcast as my side hustle. Like, I'm going to put more time into that, and then I'm going to develop another side hustle. I'm going to take, that podcast and create side hustles from that podcast and whatever it is that I'm talking about in that podcast.
All right. And so,
Yep.
yeah, for sure. I would definitely, and then with the podcast, you can get so creative. Like you can
Yep.
say, hey, you're going to be on the landing page. I'm going to do a commercial. I'm going to,
Yep.
you could do shout outs. Like, so you can have, hey, if you, do 3 months or more, I'm going to give you a 10% discount, that kind of thing. So for sure, like, yeah, podcasts are really hot.
Yep.
All right. Let's see if we have any more questions. And can you hang out for just a second?
Yep.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. So, guys, so if you guys are just joining, we are talking with Aisha Shante about six-figure side hustles. She has now, I have twisted her arm all the way and told her that she needs to share with us this wealth of information that she has about just so many things, like so many different side hustles. Um, you know, so many different side hustles, and so she's going to be doing that. So with the, will there be a replay on your masterclass? Will you have a replay?
Yes, there will be a replay. So
Okay.
anybody who signs up will get a recording.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. So you get access to the recording. And so good stuff. And then also so you guys know I am big on the six-figure side hustle of the six-figure business system. It took me a long time to learn how to make six figures with digital products. And I know that's one of the ones that you talked about. And so that's why I'm so passionate about talking about that all the time, because it's kind of crazy, how, like, I think I'm smart. I think I am, but it took me so long to really figure that out. And so this is kind of, so I launched this group coaching program called the Six Figure Business System. And in here, it kind of breaks down all of the issues that I had, right? And they always say hindsight is 2020. I hate to use trite expressions, but it is. It's like I look back, and that's when I start realizing like what was stopping me from getting to six figures with my digital products. A lot of times, a lot of it was mindset, just like how you talked about, imposter syndrome, and and being consistent, and confidence, and it's so many things, right? Check this one out. Oluchi Zelda said, creating digital products is my six-figure side hustle. How funny is that? Okay. And so, I realized so many things about, even the special needs of some of my beauty industry people, and what helps them, and I even had a student that has reached seven figures, with digital products now. But if you want to check out if anybody on here is interested in checking out the first module of the six-figure business system, I did go ahead and had a link. I added a link on here where you can go ahead and check out the first module and start looking at it. In addition, I put a link in the description here for my new book that I have just released called The Digital Game. And with that, that's kind of where I really break it down. I talk about some stuff that nobody's really talking about um, with digital products, and I don't know why. Okay. I don't know why nobody's talking about certain things, right? And so, what I really did in this is I broke it down to really talk about, okay, what are, the reasons why people aren't reaching six figures? Okay, because everybody just says six figures, six figures, six figures, but there's some reason, there's some things that people are missing. And to be honest, I was very surprised at how small, the changes needed to be. There were very, very, very small changes that needed to be made for me to finally hit six figures. Okay. There was very, very small changes that needed to happen. But Yes. So this is, one of the things that I will definitely, I definitely recommend. The ebook is available as well. But yes, this is why I wrote this book, because it was just, once you figure out how to do it, then you're like, man, like I really wasted a whole bunch of time that I didn't have to waste. Have you ever felt like that?
Yep.
Once you get it, then you're like, man, like, why didn't I do this before? Or why didn't I figure this out? So I don't know, for whatever reason, it's everything that you think is easy. It's a little bit harder. And there's some things that are easier and we make them harder. And so I just wanted to share those things. I will make sure, if somebody said they're having trouble clicking on a link, if you, we'll make sure that those links are working. I see you're on Facebook. I'll check out Facebook and make sure that those links are working for you guys. But I do want to see, let me see if we have any last minute questions before I jump off. We're about to wrap up here, guys. This is Beauty to Bank. This is the number one place on the web where beauty professionals learn how to make money without standing behind the chair. I am your host, Susan Bennett. I am the CEO of The Social Barber, and I help established beauty professionals learn how to make money, right, by packaging up what they know into digital products so they can avoid burnout behind the chair, the table, the brush, whatever it is that you feel like is, chaining you to a life that you don't want anymore, right? Whether it's your cubicle, right, Aisha?
Yep.
Right? Learn how to make money out of it without being in your cubicle, okay? Well, thank you so much for for coming on to Beauty to Bank, Aisha. This is your first. I want to say, am I the first person to have you? I think I am. I think I am.
You are. You are. And thank you for having me. Thank
Of
you for the
course, anything
opportunity.
last you want to say for everybody?
Um, just if everyone, if you're interested in side hustles and how to earn six figures through side hustles, click the link, register for the class, and I'll see you all there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. And join us next Monday for Beauty to Bank. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.